Good morning. My name is Sharad Agarwal. I am the founder of onlywebinars.com. I'm pleased to welcome you to today's webinar, Putting Health, Well-being, and Happiness First, presented by Julie Lewis. We selected this topic because post-COVID, we have all had to reinvent ourselves in the way we work and in the way we live. Optimism is essential for mental well-being. Right now, we need to remain optimistic and find an upside in this crisis. Positive thoughts and actions focus on strengths, successes, opportunities, and collaboration. Leaders must radiate trust and hope that leads to positive energy, confidence, and purpose. Let us all remember, there is always light at the end of the tunnel. It is my pleasure now to introduce to you our speaker, Julie. Julie casts light on even the darkest of situations with her insightful ideas, tools, and strategies to reignite performance, productivity, profits, employee enrichment, and general well-being. She is an award-winning adventurer, entrepreneur, sought-after speaker, and the go-to consultant in resilience, positivity, employee well-being, and strengths-based leadership. Something you would find very interesting about Julie, she has climbed several high-altitude mountains, attempted a solo swim of the English Channel, and has led multinational teams of men and women on 61 expeditions to more than 20 countries, including the Arctic and the Antarctica. Her experience in challenging, unpredictable, and remote environments gives her the leading edge when it comes to overcoming obstacles and remaining calm, focused, and optimistic. Some of her corporate clients include HSBC, FedEx, Land Rover, Zayed University, ADNOC, Enoch, Coca-Cola, the list just goes on. Before I hand over to Julie, just a few housekeeping notes. Please send your comments through the chat feature, which you will find at the bottom of your screen. And feel free to post your questions in the Q&A tab. I will be happy to pose your questions to Julie after her presentation. So let's have some fun and let's learn from Julie. Over to you, Julie.
Thank you very much for that wonderful, wonderful introduction. So good morning from my mountaintop, lakeside, self-created studio here on Yas Island in the geographically convenient Zoom room. So we're zooming in from anywhere, which is one of the great gifts of this time period. A big, big thank you, Sharad, for it's a great way to kickstart our collaboration with Only Webinars, because I think so many more people are very hungry and thirsty for information and how to implement that information, which is more important, you know, than actually taking action on the knowledge. Thank you for our viewers, for our webinar-ees, for investing time in yourself. I can guarantee this is going to be a great return on your investment, which will pay dividends. We are living longer than ever before. So to make sure that we can live a full and fulfilling life, it's very, very important to make sure that we've got strong foundations. And that those foundations is definitely our health, our well-being, and our happiness. They are the three critical bases, the foundation, so that you can rise to the personal and professional summits. So just before we kickstart into the session, I'd like to kind of get a feel of the group. with a quick question of how do you feel right now on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being absolutely amazing and 1 being shocking, on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of your health, your well-being and your happiness. So in the chat box, please just put a number, whether it's 1, 3, 5, 7. It's super, super easy. This will just give us an opportunity to get the vibe of the tribe in the room. And then Sharad will kindly give me who's brave enough to answer first and put some numbers in there. What do we have?
We have Trisha with a 10 on 10, believe it or not.
Woo, woo.
Yeah, yeah. And there's a 9, and I encourage others also to share their state of where they feel they are on a 10-point scale. There is a 8 that has also come in from Priyanka. So I think we are all on a high.
Very, very good. I could actually sense that, you know, I have something that I pick up energy, and I tested my own energy this morning.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can hear this. And it's very, very good. So we have very, very good energy in the room, and I'm glad that there was nobody below 5.
Yeah, we don't have anybody below 5.
It makes a big, big difference. So what are we going to be doing over the next kind of 30, 35 minutes or so? It's going to be very, very exciting. And what I'm sharing with you is not rocket science. It's really some simple insights, tips, tools, strategies. And they are so simple that they're very, very easy to implement and action in your everyday life. And often when things get a little bit challenging and there's lots of change and we get busy kind of managing, juggling lots of things, we simply forget certain things that we need to do. And so this session really is all about self-remembering. It's about some of the simple things that we can do every day. And it's about you. It's really about you as your greatest asset, the things that you can do and be accountable, responsible for. So I'd like to start just with a lovely kind of image. And I like this feeling of freedom already. You'll notice in all of the slides, there's lots of water. For me, water is very fluid, it's very agile, it's very strong, it's very intuitive. And I think, you know, there's a lovely quote by Lao Tzu: stand like mountain, flow like water. And there are times, yes, when we do, like the mountains behind me, need to stand strong and grounded and stable and resilient. And there are also times when we need to let go and go with the flow and swim in the direction of the water instead of swimming upstream and hanging on for the side and saying, no, I've always done it this way. I'm not going to change. You know, there's that lovely Zen proverb, let go or be dragged. So now I think more than ever is the time to be more like water, to be able to, like a river, weave its way around the obstacles, adapt to the environment that it's in, and respond to what's going on underneath, what's ahead, and what's driving it behind. And of course, a river knows that it's going to greater things. It's going to the ocean. So let's all go to the ocean. So this lovely kind of first image is this sense of freedom and liberation. And you know, the ebb and flow of the water, the swing, we go forward and then we come back, but we know we're going to go forward again. We're going to come back. And this is really about being the master of your life by putting your health, well-being and happiness first. That is the priority, because then everything else will follow. So you're either a master or you a victim. And we get to choose, you know, some things we don't get to choose, but we do get to choose. Am I a master? I'm responsible, I'm accountable, or I am somebody that's a victim. And what does a victim do? They blame, they complain, they justify, or this happened because this, or the market's not good, or it's raining so I can't do that, I'm too old, I'm too young, I don't have enough experience, or they really beat themselves up and they give themselves a hard time. And so, as Sharad mentioned earlier, optimism. This is one of the essential skills of our mental, emotional well-being, but also of resilience. It's one of the most critical skills that we can have. Are you an optimist or are you a pessimist? And sometimes we kind of merge between the two depending on what's going on in our life. But if you're the kind of person that jumps out of bed every morning thinking, great, I've got another day on this planet, I'm still breathing, I've got a chance to make a difference, then that is definitely an optimist. The pessimist is looking, oh, it's another day. Oh, the weather's not looking that great. Oh, I've got, and they're what I call the ain't it awful club. They're looking at all the things that could go wrong or the not so great things. That's where their mindset is. And if you're aware of that, you can flip it back over to the optimist mindset, which says kind of pragmatically that, okay, things might not be super, super great right now, and they will get better. That lovely quote from the Best Exotic Marigold Hotel. Everything will be all right in the end. And if it's not all right, it's not the end. So just keep that one in mind as a perfect, optimism quote. So let's move on to really talk about, get an idea of what we're going to be covering in the next 20, 30 minutes. We're going to be talking about our health. And this is our first wealth. For me, it's my top value. I was actually born on World Health Day, the 7th of April, back in 2002. So that gives you an idea. My chronological age is 58, but I'm sure my biological age is less. And I'm sure, I still think I'm 36. I still go out there and pretend I'm 36. So we're going to be talking about how you think, eat, move, and sleep to really supercharge your health, and in particular your immune system, which is super important right now. We're going to focus in on well-being, which is, some people say, what's the difference between health and well-being? Of course, they're kind of interrelated, but most people think about health in terms of some of your numbers, your cholesterol, your red blood cell count, your natural killer cells, your triglycerides, all of these kind of biomarkers. And health is really a total well-being. So well-being, I tend to think of how we're feeling, how are we, at one, are we, with ourselves in terms of positive emotions, our mind. Happiness, we have a minister of happiness here in the UAE. Back in 2016, I took a team of 16 people to Bhutan, which is known as the land of happiness. Back in 1974, I think the fourth king of Bhutan said, let's focus on gross national happiness instead of GDP. And everybody thought at the time, this is very strange, and then United Nations, I think it was in 2011, happiness was on the global agenda. So this is, important stuff, guys. So we're going to talk about joy. This is one of our highest emotions and highest energy. And then we'll kind of have what I call a power of three. So that's 3 simple things that you're going to do every day. And I'm going to really emphasize every day because consistency is key. We don't just think I'm going to look after myself for 1 week, get really, eat well, think well, sleep well, and then that's my deposit for the year. This is about making daily deposits consistently. And then we're going to have some questions and answers. So if there's anything that you say, oh, I'd love to know an answer to this. If I've got the answer, I'll give it to you. If I haven't, I'll find out. So let's move on to why, why now? For me, health and wellness has been my lifestyle, my top value for many years. My background's in sports science. So 30 some years ago, I spent, 4 years studying science, the physicality of the body and everything. And I think now more than ever, because we are experiencing more challenges and change, but we are living longer. The average age now of a woman is apparently like 75 living longer. And that's amazing. So we want to make sure that we're living a full and fulfilling life into what used to be known as the golden years. And now some people are calling it the silver tsunami, the gray hairs that are like this rolling boulder of energy. And they've still got, I've still got 30, 40, 50 years ahead of me. I want to feel it. I want to live it. So this is really important. And I put the word treading water because I think, to use that analogy of kind of in water treading and you're kind of looking left and right, what's going to happen? What's the new regulations? How is business going to go? And how long will this last? How will that impact me? So we're kind of treading water a little bit. And many people are looking for direction and looking for more clarity and for control. And when things feel out of control and a little bit up in the air, the thing that we can control are our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, our behaviors, which then impacts our results. So this is really tuning into your inner compass and your inner guidance about what can I control. So we know there's lots going on in the news right now, and I think it's super smart to be aware of that, but not to be consumed by it so that you're forever looking at this and scrolling down and then putting yourself into this state. You know, I think be aware of it, but then we all have the power and the control to create our own world and to create our own health, well-being, and happiness. So this is really why I think it's critical right now that we still kind of be aware and present, but keep taking action, because it's very easy to kind of fall into analysis paralysis and stand still and then lose ground and say, well, we'll just wait. So we can take charge of our own health. And I think that definitely creates a ripple effect. I love being around people that are buzzing with energy. They're talking about ideas, plans, how they're adapting, responding, and rewiring with the current circumstances. I'd much rather spend time with people like that than people with, oh my gosh, it's shocking. Did you read the paper? Did you read the news? What's going to happen? And it's just like, drain all your energy. So this is why I think now it's critical. This is something that we can control. And this is why we put this webinar on. You can have all the technical skills. You can have 3 PhDs and masters. If you're not healthy, if you're not happy, and you're feeling like, then nothing's going to work. So how are we going to do this? It would be interesting to kind of find out from you, how many people have already got what I would call daily disciplines? And these are things that you do on a regular basis that you set for yourself. You know, it could be something, I mean, we all brush our teeth every morning. That's a discipline. That is hardwired. We don't even think, oh, I am going to brush my teeth now. We just automatically get up and do that. So I'd like to hear some, you know, pop it in the chat box, you know, daily disciplines. You know, do you make sure that you drink, you know, 2 liters of water? Do you make sure that you get to bed at the regular time, you know, like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night? Do you set your alarm and you're always up at 5? So maybe you can have some courageous ones in the room that can put a few of their daily disciplines. You know, is it exercise? Is it reading for an hour? Is it creating your to-do list or to-be list? Is it making sure that you connect with family and friends? Now, these are all kind of small daily disciplines that all, like compound interest, build up and stack up so that you feel good. So we can put those into the kind of daily disciplines, healthy habits, resilience rituals. And this is really the reason why I put a surfer on here, is because right now we're all riding the waves of change. Now, this is about being there and looking around and being very, very present and being able to read the waves so that we can go with it instead of flipping over. So what do we have in there, Sharad?
Yeah, Trisha is bold enough and she says she goes for a jog every morning. That Wonderful. Is discipline. Yeah.
Very good. It is.
Yeah.
And the word every morning is music to my ears, because consistency is key. You know, if you do once a week for 3 months and then life takes over and you think, no, I'm too busy. Anybody that says I'm too busy to take charge of my health and well-being, and say, well, you better make some time to not be so well and put some money aside into your medical health care and stuff. And it's the same with meditation. When people, I don't have time to meditate, and they think, well, you need to meditate twice as long as the person that does have time to meditate. So these are some simple things.
Ali has piped in, Julie, and he says he starts his mornings with a smile.
Very good. And you know, when we smile, we have this internal pharmacy that is free. You don't need a prescription. You don't need any permission. You don't need any permits. You don't need to go and see a doctor. But the minute you smile, that often, you know, gets a smile from somebody else. Sometimes that turns into laughter. And that really kicks in the endorphins, anandamide, dopamine, serotonin, all of these incredible feel-good hormones that are all free. And they really, really impact our immune system as well for the better. So thank you, Ali, for that. Yeah, a big, big smile. And normally when I'm speaking to large groups and presentations, they please turn to the person next to you, give them the biggest smile ever. And it raises the energy in the room. So we're talking about disciplines, habits, and rituals. So think about those, you know, keep a little logbook. I'm kind of quite, you know, this is my expedition site, you know, I have a checklist that I tick off. Yes, exercised, meditated half an hour, green tea, I've had my vitamins, mineral supplements. I've made 3 sales calls. I've done 1 webinar, you know, and I'm really, really, you know, I phoned a friend, you know, this social connection. I'm thinking of new ideas, etc. So we're all currently riding the waves of change. And I talk about this word harmony. You know, people talk about work-life balance, and I think that's a load of poppycock myself. You know, to me, balance means that nothing's moving. And for me, you know, we want movement. Everything's moving all of the time. We're moving our minds, we're moving our body, we're moving our emotions. And harmony means all different areas of our life, our health, our family, our sports, our work, our learning, our community service, and they're all in harmony. And we know when one goes out of harmony, it's like somebody singing out of tune in the choir. You think, oh, that doesn't sound so good. And we can sense that ourselves. And being very, very much in the now, this is critical. Learn from the past and have that as a reference point. What's now, and then creating what's next. So people that kind of worry about the future or are still not letting go, oh, I should have said that, I should have done this, or, you know, still carrying that, that's very, very heavy. So let that go right now, because right now we're in the only webinar Zoom room and we're focusing on our health, well-being, and happiness. So let's have a little look at health. I love this picture because it's, you know, it really says about the ripple effect. That, you know, when you put a small stone in the water, it sends out positive ripples. And I think our health has that impact. When you're around people that are healthy and happy and energized, it's, oh, it's like a big magnet and it draws success. I mean, we all want to be around people that give off that vibe. So the little acronym that I have is TEMS, how to think, eat, move, and sleep, and there's a few additions onto that, for optimal health and well-being. This will help boost our immune system. So the thoughts, the power of our thoughts, you know, the mind is everything, and this is a quote by the Buddha, the mind is everything, what you think, you become. So think good thoughts. You know, the words that we speak, do we say, I choose, I decide, I have created, I'd love to, I have decided to, or do we say, I could, I can, I can't, I should? So how we're thinking is very, very important. Eating, what are we eating? Are we eating good foods that fuel our energy, or are we eating foods that really drain us? So people do intermittent fasting, some people eat small and often, you know, some people eat plant-based, some people are vegetarian, pescatarian. I'm not kind of going to say to you, you must do X, Y, Z. What I'm saying here is just be very conscious about the food that you're putting into your body. This is like putting engine oil or petrol in your car. You wouldn't put rubbish in your car and expect it to run smoothly. So this is very, very important. So the eating, and again, you know, that could be a whole webinar about anti-inflammatory foods, alkaline foods. How we're moving. You know, a lot of us now are sitting still for long periods of time and watching a screen. And the minute that we sit down for a long period of time, our circulation becomes sluggish and our metabolic rate drops. So this is important that we get up every 90 minutes, move around, take some nice deep breaths in to reoxygenate our body. The other M I'm going to add to that is meditate, to make sure that we give ourselves the gift of stillness and silence. And this is to prevent what I call a monkey mind. You know, when we've got lots of programs running along in our minds, and what happens with our computer when we do that? It crashes. It says, I'm not playing. So like the computer that crashes or overload, we need to switch off and reboot, and meditation is super cool for that. Sleeping, to be able to get 6 to 8 hours of sleep consistently, this is one of our superpowers. This is a time when we're regenerating, renewing, and we all make much better decisions when we've had a good night's sleep, that's for sure. So when people say, I'll sleep on it. That means that's very smart. I'll think about it and I'll give you my answer in the morning. Because if you've been deprived of sleep for 24 hours, then it's the same as being drunk, literally. That we have a foggy brain, we're not making wise decisions. So that's really kind of a short acronym for thinking, eating, moving, and sleeping. I would add to that social connection. It's important that we stay socially connected, maybe physically distant, but socially connected, and that we stay hydrated. I'm conscious of time, and I know that we are at 11:27. So let me move on to the next slide that really focuses on well-being. And this is many, many different types of well-being: physical, mental, emotional, psychological, financial, environmental. Is the environment that you're in conducive to you feeling healthy and happy? And we have something called a negativity bias, which is hardwired into us. And this is, for example, 6 people tell me, Julie, you look great today. You look so happy and energized. And then one person tells me, you look a little bit tired today. Guess what? The negativity bias thinks about that one person that says I'm tired and completely forgets about the 6 people. So that's when we're aware of that, you can think, okay, thank you, negativity bias. I will focus on those 6 good things and let that one thing fall away. So positive emotions are things like joy, love, pride, amusement, serenity, gratitude, super. And again, we choose how we feel. There's something called the positivity ratio, which means that, this is Dr. Barbara Fredrickson. We need 5 positive emotions to every 1 negative or neutral emotion to actually thrive. So we need to make sure that we're having micro moments of connection of joy across each day so that we can keep that balance nice. If it's 3 to 1, then that's the tipping point. If it's 2 to 1 or 1 to 1 or 0 positive to 1 negative, that's when we see people feeling sad, anxious, depressed. And it's really, really important to be aware of this. And when I asked at the beginning of the session, you're 1 to 10, most people are at around a 7, and that's the kind of positivity offset. This is when people in the big picture, not the tiny micro moments, but the big picture, everything's okay. I'm breathing, I'm sleeping, I'm eating, I've got a roof over my head, food in the fridge, I've got friends, I've got opportunities. So in the big picture. So be very, very conscious of positive emotions. And also be aware of the negative or not so. Embrace them all. Positive psychology just doesn't focus on the positive emotions. It focuses on, they're messengers. When we feel angry or sad, it's simply a message. What's the opposite of sad? It's happy. What do I need to shift myself from being sad to happy? So an emotionally intelligent person would say, I'm naming it to tame it. This is how I feel. This is how I'd like to feel instead. And so this is the power and the control that we actually have. So that's a very, very in a nutshell in terms of well-being and what we can do in terms of our emotions and being conscious of those. So happiness, we're chasing the pursuit of happiness. And most people think that things or stuff will make them happy. But the science shows that it's experiences and connections and micro moments of joy that really, really bring us happiness. So let's just have a quick joy check-in. Can you write in the chat box 3 things that bring you joy? And that could be people, places, or activities. So it could be your partner, your kids, your dog, walking, swimming, joining webinars, being in nature. So let's just get some feedback on that one. How do we bring more joy into our life? And what brings us joy will give us energy, basically. So let's see what we have in there.
We have reading a book. We have listening to music.
Super.
And we have seen people smile, do exciting things, and fresh air.
Fresh air, yeah. I think we all need that, isn't it? I mean, we know that, science and everything tells us that being out in nature you know, by water in particular because of the ions, the negative ions, and grounding. If we can walk barefoot on a beach or barefoot on grass, much, much healthier than being inside in air-conditioned walls, fluorescent lighting, and concrete walls. I highly recommend, I talk to my clients, you know, I say, please promise me you will take a daily, what I call a bio blitz, you know, your recommended daily allowance of not just your vitamins and minerals, but of nature, Mother Nature. So just looking at, you know, even if you can have plants in your room, that's at least better than nothing, you know, have a cold shower, you know, connect with nature is super, super important. Because for sure, what brings people joy will give you more energy. Definitely, definitely. And we talk about flow, you know, when I work with clients or groups or teams, we talk about being in flow when you lose all track of time. I went out for a walk this morning and I realized, oh, we've been walking an hour and a half. And because we were chatting, there was myself and a colleague, and we were chat, and then we both looked at our watches. Oh, we better turn back and get back, you know. I said, I'm doing a webinar this morning. I need to drive back home. So this is about being in flow when time literally stands still. And that could be, you know, for some people, it's playing with kids, it's playing the piano, it's out cycling, it's reading, it's listening to inspirational music. So this is the kind of the happiness. And, you know, when you know your strengths, because I do a lot of work on strength-based leadership, then you can play to your strengths and focus on what's strong. And that has been scientifically proven to make you healthier, happier, build better relationships, build more trust, navigate change. So this is your, what the Japanese call your ikigai, your purpose, your reason for being. And that's really about the joy and the happiness on that one. So let's move on because I'm conscious of time. It would be very, very interesting because I said, this is not rocket science. This is all simple stuff, but we sometimes forget. So this is a little positive nudge. What was the kind of top takeaway from today? Was there something that, oh yeah, I need to make sure I do that, you know? I need to smile, I need to drink more water, I need to exercise, I need to think better thoughts. I need to focus on what brings me joy. So let's have a little, some feedback in terms of the top takeaway from today. Don't be shy. For some people, it's, I need to look at more pictures of water. You know,
we have Priyanka who says need to meditate.
Okay.
Ali has said ikiga. Maybe you can explain a little more of what that means.
Yes.
And mind is everything and water is so refreshing.
Yes, super, super. I mean, the ikigai is a Japanese secret, you know, to longevity and happiness and health and success. And there are certain what's known as blue zone areas, and they're mainly in Japan. I think there's one in Greece, in Ikaria, and they are the highest number of centenarians, people that live way over 100. And what they said is that they have meaning and purpose in their life. They focus on what's strong, not what's wrong. They have a strong community. They eat well. When they're 80% full, they stop eating. They keep moving, even if they're moving slowly. You know, at 105, you're maybe not sprinting anymore, but you're still moving. And they have this strong sense of purpose. So what skills have they have? What strengths do they have? What is their passion? What's their purpose? And that really is that ikigai. And there's whole books on it. It's a beautiful kind of concept. And I think when you know what your purpose is on the planet, then that's when you thrive. So this power of three ship sailing, 3 yacht sailing, 3 things. This is some calls to action now, because we can attend lots of seminars, go to conferences, read books. If we don't take any action, it's been a complete waste of time. So I would say your power of 3, and this would be 3 things that you now commit to do daily, and really highlight that word daily, because this is when the magic happens. When you do the work, this works. Daily consistent action, and see this as deposits into your health, well-being and happiness account. You know, even small deposits, you know, having a giggle break when you think things are getting a bit too serious, you know, smile and say, hey, we need to lighten up, people. Or let me have a nice sip of green tea, or savor a dark piece of chocolate, or go for a walk, or stroke the dog, or, you know, cuddle with your kids. So this is important. So power of three. What's your power of three? And who's going to be brave and very courageous and put their top three things that they're going to do? It's a bit similar to the takeaway. And this is something that's going to be a discipline, a ritual, a habit that you rewire in. What do we have?
We have, I have put in my three. One is exercise daily, even
Yes.
if it is 10 minutes, half an hour, doesn't matter. De-stress, because I find I sometimes get too bogged down and it's only 12 noon.
Yes.
Too much happening in life, and there is this FOMO concept of fear of missing out. So, you know, staying online all the time, and maybe set up realistic goals.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you put that FOMO. I have something called JOMO, joy of missing out. You know, I think as part of a health and well-being, we need to take digital detoxes and say, you know, maybe it's a Friday or it's a certain time in the evening where we literally switch this off, you know, and definitely to get a good night's sleep. You know, I would highly recommend that people are not watching the TV or on this an hour before their sleep, because it drastically impacts you know, your sleep with the melatonin production. So, you know, this
Trisha,
is...
there's one more comment that's coming from Trisha, and
Yes.
she's talking about sharing her thoughts by writing a journal or a blog post.
Very good. Yes. The power of the pen, or the power of tapping out. That's a great way to express emotions, you know, because unresolved emotions or unexpressed emotions can cause havoc with your body. You know, we say the body speaks the mind, so be careful what you're thinking.
Yeah. And Ishwar says, associate yourself with positive and like-minded people.
Very, very good. Yeah. I think it was Jim Rohn that said you become the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So if you're spending a lot of time home alone, it's even more important to have these social groups. You know, there's many social groups and tribes and mastermind groups and only webinars. I think this is a great way to make sure that we're staying connected, engaged, informed, impacted, and inspired, of course. Yes, yeah, absolutely. Super duper duper. Well, let's move on. I think I've only got, I mean, this is a slide to, you know, from my heart to your heart, to make sure that we stay connected, because this is not a one-hit wonder. This is, you know, a continuous journey. Health, well-being, personal development is a process, it's a journey. And today is just being one of those steps. So there's my details. If you want to take a screenshot of that, this is how you can stay connected. One little resource that I'd like to share with you is a 30-day MBE, that's Mind, Body, Emotion challenge. And you'll find that on my website. And this is 10 things you can do for your mind, 10 things for your body, 10 things for your emotions, that if you do them over the next 30 days, I'd love to hear from you. You watch the magic happen. So that's how we can stay connected. And of course, Sharaj's got all my details. This is the first of many collaborations. Yes. And really, I'm going to kind of end before we go to Q&A on something that is critical to our health and wellness and happiness. And there are many magical words in the English language, and 2 of them are thank you. And really look at somebody in the eye and say, thank you, I really appreciate that. You know, with the smallest of things, if somebody's thirsty and you give them some water, wow, that's huge. You know, so it doesn't always have to be big financial things. You know, people think, well, I don't have enough money to be able to help people right now. I'm helping myself. And, you know, it could be giving somebody a hug, giving somebody some water, lending somebody a dirham or 2 dirhams to put in the car parking thing. What I'm saying, good people, is that gratitude, an attitude of gratitude and appreciation, and say thank you, which, you know, 3 times in the morning I say thank you, You know, I'm alive, I'm awake, I've got another day on this planet. That's awesome. And even keep a gratitude journal. One of the colleagues mentioned a journal, and to write down the things that you're grateful for. I'm grateful for today. I'm grateful for my hot coffee. I'm grateful for the sunshine, the sky, the water. You know, I say water because I think this is going to be one of our new currencies. We can't live without water. We can go without food for 30 days. We can go without water probably for about 3 days. And, you know, we are 70% water. The planet is 70% water. So we are the planet. We are, you know, and what's happening in and around us. So I love this picture of this gratitude of water. And if you can't get into the sea, go take a cold shower or soak in a long hot bath. I mean, this is absolutely critical. So let's move over to Q&A. Let the tide come rolling in and see what we have out there.
Yeah, we've already got a couple of questions, but before I start with those, I have one of my own, Julie.
Yes.
And that is, what has been a life-changing moment for you when you look back at your life so far?
Wow. I had many. I mean, I'm 58 years young, so you can imagine that I've had quite a few. You know, moving to the Middle East when I was 27 was huge. I think, you know, one that really comes to mind always is on my 40th birthday, which was 18 years ago now, folks. I decided to go and climb a mountain, and people said, what are you doing climbing a mountain? You know, most people have a party for their 40th birthday. They don't go and put themselves through that stress. And I'd been to Malaysia on an educational trip, and I'd seen a mountain called Kota Kinabalu. And it just, you know, it spoke to me. It had my name. It was like calling me, Julie, 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 come here. And so I asked our guide, how long does it take to climb that mountain? You know, what's the best time, et cetera, et cetera. And he said, April is a good time. It takes 3 days. It's 4,095 meters, a good general level of fitness. I said, I am coming back next year. I'm going to climb that mountain for my birthday. I managed to persuade 5 other women to do that, and we reached the summit of Kota Kinabalu on the 7th of April, 2002, World Health Day. I'm standing on top of a mountain, feeling totally alive. I'm on a mountain, I'm on a natural high, and ka-ching, that was the name for my business, Mountain High. So that was a very pivotal moment to shift from the kind of health, fitness, and sports management industry to shift into adventure travel experiences and to really explore and immerse myself in nature and take teams of people. That was pivotal, you know.
Amazing.
That was a light bulb moment.
Amazing, amazing. I wish I was with you on that trip. Okay, now there's a question from Ali. He wants you to advise him some ways on how to deal with stress in today's world.
Sure. You know, stress, there's good stress and there's bad stress. We need stress because that's what drives us with our goals and our motivations. We set goals and we're driven, and that's a little bit of stress. That's good stress. And obviously, if we saw a car coming towards us, there's no saber-toothed tigers anymore. It's probably more like a car or something. You jump out of the way, and that's, you know, that's critical that we have that. But then there's this, what I call chronic stress. It's like daily stress that's coming from in and all around us. And that's like having a toothache that never goes away. It's like that all of the time. It's tiny, tiny, and then something snaps and we go ballistic and we go, I can't take it anymore. So what we need to do is identify, first of all, what causes our stress. Is it certain people? Is it certain places? Is it certain environments? Is it certain activities that, you know, make us feel stressful? For some people, going to a networking event, if they're more of an introvert, it's very stressful. I mean, I've talked to people and they don't know me. Sometimes it's financial stress. Sometimes it's a health. Sometimes it's relationships, many, many things. And I think the first is identifying the stresses and then showing, where does that stress show up in my life? Am I getting pains and necks in my shoulder because I'm using my, technology? People are getting techie necks. They're getting their shoulders hunched up and everything. People often say that if you're getting a sore throat, it's because you're not speaking your truth. The body is speaking the mind. If you've got a backache, you're not feeling supported. I sometimes get ache in my left hip, and that's about moving forward when I'm procrastinating or not making a decision. So what can we do about this? We can identify it, so we can actually make sure we don't spend time with that person or in that environment or that activity. And it's really about relaxation techniques and positive coping strategies. So relaxation could be meditating, going for long walks, listening to inspirational music, cutting out the visual, switching off technology. It could be floating in the sea, walking barefoot. It could be being in nature, reading inspirational literature, having a massage, having a good laugh, you know, phone a friend and say, come on, tell me a few jokes, I need a good laugh. And these are kind of relaxation techniques where we literally just kind of choose to let go and switch off. And then the kind of coping strategy, I've used this a couple of times on trips, is what I call grounding. And this is really kind of pulling in this mental energy that might be scattered and everywhere. And so literally I take people, I say, just close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths and put your hand on your heart. So this is connecting to your heart because we have a thinking mind and a feeling heart. Slowly breathing in for a count of 5, exhaling out for 5. And doing that, and then just really feeling that strong connection to your heart. And then asking yourself a beautiful self-compassion question, which is, what do I need right now?
All right.
And the first thing that comes into your mind, it could be, I need a hug, I need a good cry, I need some water, I need to take a power nap, I need to find somebody that can help me with this challenge that I'm facing. And this is the ultimate self-compassion. This is really giving yourself the gift of tapping into your heart intelligence or your gut. I mean, we have 3 brains, your head, your heart, and your gut. And asking, what do I need right now? What do I need to hear right now? Who can help me? So I think, you know, stress is not to be suffered in silence. It's to be looking and thinking, well, who could I ask for help? Because asking for help is a sign of strength, not of weakness. So many different things you can do to combat stress. I'm happy to share more resources. It really is about, you know, identifying your stressors. What are some of the symptoms you're experiencing? Is it sleepless nights, you know, tummy ache, you know, headaches, etc. And then what are some of the things that you can do that you know work for you, because everybody's different. You know, for some people, I had one lady and I said, what do you do to de-stress? And she said, I iron. I went, oh my goodness, you can have my ironing. She said, it's just this continuous flowing music, you know, and for some people it's playing with the kids. For some people it's getting out on a bike. I mean, there's so many different ways, and you know, they're all very, very accessible as well. You know, there's some great websites, you know, apps. I have Insight Timer on my phone and Sync Tuition, and there's another one that I use called Brain Sync, Kelly Howell, and they're guided meditations. And this really, you know, if you need to listen to them with headphones, it's called Binaural Brain Sync, SYNC. And just to listen to that, it really, really does. You can actually almost feel your heart rate going down, your blood pressure going down, the cortisol levels, you know, squealing. This is so important right now because we all know that stress weakens the immune system, and that's the last thing we want to do right now. So talk it out, talk to somebody. I mean, I run whole workshops on stress management. So, you know, it's a great question. Thank you, Ali. Thank you for asking.
Right. I have one more, and that is, who is your role model and why?
Oh, that's a great question, you know, and there are many role models that are still living, and there are many that have passed. And, you know, my father was a great role model for me. And he passed last year in January at the grand age of 92. So he had a good run for his innings. And I'm one of 4 children. And I have 2 older sisters. Then there's a 10-year gap, and then I came along, and then another year gap, and my brother came along. And so my mum had 2, you know, a 10-year-old and an 11-year-old, and then she had me and then my brother. So she kind of handed me to my dad and said, please look after Julie. I got so much on my hand. So I spent a lot of time with my father, and he was a great traveler, and he was very sporty, very outgoing. He loved people. And so I spent a lot of time with him as a young girl. And even though geographically, you know, I moved to the Middle East when I was 27, I've been living in the, you know, Middle East and Asia for many, many years now. I've been the closest to him. So I think, you know, definitely my father, a great role model. My mum, who's now 95, she'll be 96 next month. Amazing, resilient woman. You know, and I love reading. So I like Lao Tzu. I'm very interested in Eastern philosophy. I like people that are following their dreams, striving to fulfill ambitions, dreams, and goals. So they could be, you know, next week I have an intern that's starting with me from Abu Dhabi University, and she's so young and so curious and so down at it. This is fantastic. You know, I often say to people, have people in your life that are 10, 15 years younger than you, and then 10, 15 years, what I call wiser, not older, wiser than you, because it's this bridging this, you know, millennial and sage, you know, a brand new techie savvy, and then experience, wisdom, you know, hard earned experience. So I think, you know, when I see people, whether it's in sports, in business, in life, in retail, in any industry, that are really, you know, in line with their ikigai, their passion and their purpose, I just think, that's fantastic. You go for it. So, you know, I could talk about, you know, Sir Edmund Hillary, the first, you know, guy that climbed Everest. I could talk about, you know, the fastest swimmer of the Channel and all of these kind of things. But I think I'm surrounded by role models everywhere I look. There's somebody that is, you know, aiming high and pushing for their dream. But yeah, my dad. Yeah.
Great answer. And on this happy note, I'm going to kind of thank you, Julie, for you know, motivating us, inspiring us. What should I say? Sharing your life's experiences with us.
Yes.
For me personally, there have been a lot of takeaways. I've scribbled a lot of notes on my paper here. Mind is everything. Ikigai, attitude of gratitude. Keep moving.
Yes.
You know, I guess is very important, and stay positive. And like we started in the beginning, you know, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. We
Yes.
have to keep going. And it's funny how later in life we can laugh at those stressful moments on how
Yes.
we went through them and how it was a breeze, because
Yes.
everything in life is relative, you know. So I
Yes.
think attitude of gratitude will see all of us through the present times and in good times. And let's stay positive, keep good company, develop good habits. I'm just trying to sum up everything that you told us, Julie, everything that you shared with us.
Yes.
And I'm really grateful to you for taking the time and initiative to collaborate with us at Only Webinars. This is first of the many things that we are planning to do together. And
Yes.
I'd love to have you back on another subject with the same audience and a new audience as well as we grow this series. And finally, thank you to all the participants
Yes.
for investing your time with us. And I'm sure you also have had some takeaways that are going to help you in your future life. So thank you all. Stay tuned with Julie, and you know where to find me at onlywebinars.com. And stay safe, which is, I think, the most important message in today's context. And stay blessed. Thank you, and we'll keep in touch.
Go and
Bye-bye.
have some fun.
Yes, enjoy life, have fun. That is the final message. Thank you,
Yes.
Julie.
Thank
You're
you.
good. Thank you.